What's up, guys? It's been a while. So, just wanted to check in with you. You know, it's been a while. Anyway, so I figured I'd make another pickups video, things of interest, you know, whatever you want to call it. Just wanted to touch base with everybody. You were nice enough to subscribe. It's been a while since I made a video, and of course, we are staying inside. Haven't been to the range, haven't really done much other than work and stay home. It's, you know, the winter time. It's crap, it's terrible. But there has been a couple of decent, I guess somewhat interesting, maybe, I'll leave that up to you, pickups that I have made over the last few months since I've talked to you. So, let's get down to it. So I've wanted to pick up a new form or style of ear protection for the range for quite some time now. Not that I'm unhappy with the Howard light system that I use, but I just wanted to try something new, see if I'd like it any better. And conveniently enough, I got a Cabela's gift card for Christmas. But unfortunately, I don't live that close to a Cabela's unless I want to make the drive over to Indy or up to Peoria, because I do believe you can use those gift cards at Bass Pro also, since they've merged together or got bought out by Bass Pro, or however that worked, I don't know. Regardless, I got me some electronic earmuffs from Howard Light, of course. My brother has a pair of these. I believe it's the same model, whatever. It allows you to not have to, because I don't know if about you, but when I'm at the range, you know, the style, I use in-ear protection, right? So if I'm trying to have a conversation, I can usually hear people okay, but you know, sometimes it's not that great to have a conversation with somebody when you have ear protection in, because you can't really hear that well, and obviously that's the point. So it just prevents you from having to yell at people all the time. Stop yelling! What? So this is electronic. So what it does is it muffles loud noises above a certain decibel. Let's see, noises above 82 decibels, it reduces the sound level, right? Well, we all know how hearing protection works. I don't know why I'm trying to explain the science behind it, but it also amplifies low decibels, right? So you can, and of course that's adjustable, how much it's going to amplify or not. You can sit and carry on a conversation with somebody and keep your hearing protection on. The only main drawback to over the ear that I've noticed over the time is, like, when you're shooting long guns, it's hard to get the right hold you want because they'll hit the stock, right? These are a slim profile, but I still think that'll interfere with that. I mean, ironically, here in the picture, they have someone wearing these muffs, but they're shooting a pistol, and the guy next to him shooting rifles using the little tiny in-ears. So, but I wanted to give them a try, and I really didn't want to spend. They're not cheap. They're not, like, you know, exuberantly costly, but they're not, you know, a couple of bucks or $10. I think these are like $50-$60 maybe. I got them on sale, I think I paid around $50 for it, and free shipping, so that's, you know, that's nice. So I got those. Pretty excited to try those out. Speaking of the range, I do have a list of gun reviews I would like to make this year. I would like to make one on the Ruger PC9, the 9mm carbine, the Wrangler, which is also by Ruger. It's that 22 single action pistol that's like affordable. It's like entry level. You know, it's not like, they're not the nicest guns around. They're not, you know, it's not like a CZ, you know, or a Kimber. But it's Ruger, and Ruger is a very well respected manufacturer in the industry. I have quite a few Rugers. I've never really had a major issue with any of them. I like Rugers quite a bit, and they're made in America. So it gets you in the hobby, right? But it's also like low cost, entry level. So you're getting a decent name, so it's going to have a good build quality as far as like functionality. I checked them out at last year's NRA convention in Indianapolis, and yeah,
it's called the Wrangler, I think.
They come in a few different colors, and I would say if you're going to get one, in my personal preference, I would get the black, because like the finish is like, it's like the bottom of a Matchbox car. Like that's what it reminded me of. Or like, yeah, it's just like pop metal. It's not pop metal, but the texture of it like felt like that. And the triggers aren't like super great. But what do you expect out of a gun in that price range? Like I think they're under 100 or $100. I think they're under 200, maybe at 200 out the door. And I think they're an excellent option for people. And I happen to love 22s. The older I get, it seems like the more I want to just shoot 22s. Although I really like my PC9. I want to get my shotgun. We're getting off topic here. But the Wrangler, the PC9. I have a Henry 22 Silver Boy. I think they were. No, it's a Henry. So it's the. Yes, it's the Silver Boy. Or is that the Uberti? Anyway, I have a Henry, and it's not silver. It's a nickel finish, but it looks like silver with octagonal barrel. It's with a gorgeous stock. All Henrys have beautiful stocks, and it's just a gorgeous gun. I have got to make a review on that gun. I love that gun. It's the action is butter. They're nice. What else do I really want to get out? I have to make a review on that Alaskan, the Ruger Alaskan I have in 454. It's a beast. It seriously is. It's right on par with the 500, because most 500s are ported. I think all of them are ported, and the Alaskan is not, and it's a handful, and it's a lot of fun. It really is. It's a blast. So, I mean, there are some reviews I'm going to be cranking out this year. Last year didn't make a single review, and it makes me sick to my stomach. So, Red Dead Revolver. This is the original Red Dead. So, you had Red Dead Redemption, which came after this, and then Red Dead 2, which happens to be a prequel, which takes place before Red Dead Redemption. But I think Rockstar took over this game like halfway through the development, and it's like not exactly like the other Red Deads, but like I'm pretty sure Dead-Eye came about in this game, and people love this game. It's known to be kind of quirky, but people love it. And I paid $6 for it, and it's in excellent, complete condition. Even still has the registration and the manual. So I had to buy that. I'm a huge Red Dead fan. That series is the best. Recently beat Red Dead 2 because I played through most of it. Got to the epilogue in like the first month I owned it, and I put it down for like a year, and then recently picked it back up. This is a game that I've wanted for a while, Super Mario Galaxy for the Nintendo Wii. I really wanted to like this game. The game itself's fine, gameplay is fine, but it requires the use of the nunchuck, and that drives me crazy. Using the nunchuck and the Wii remote does not make any sense for platformers or any other. Like the nunchuck should just be for like sports action-y. You know, the demos that came with the Wii, which was usually probably the most popular games. That's like every time I was over at someone's house and we played the Wii, or when I played my Wii at home, we were just playing the Wii sports games that came with it. The bowling, the tennis, the archery. That's all you ever played. Like the only other game I really got into was the new Super Mario Brothers Wii. And that just used the regular controller. And that's that series is fantastic for any old school fan of the original Super Mario Brothers series. We have the Neo-Geo Mini in all its glory. This is a fun little piece. This was their first edition, their first model, because there was some complaint. Because you can hook this up to a TV and play, you know, on this, or I think you might be able to get a controller for it, but I guess it didn't look that great on the TV. On this LCD it's got right here, it looks fantastic, and this is super fun. My daughters love playing this thing, and it's the Neo-Geo. This is Neo-Geo is like the cream of the crop when it comes to home arcade console type, right? If you remember, the Neo-Geo console was like a $700 console, $800 console. And this is back in the 90s, right? So this is like the arcade in your house. Like we all wanted the Nintendo and Super Nintendo and Genesis to be the arcade. It was never going to be as good as the arcade. It just never was. Couldn't compete. Didn't have the horsepower. The Neo-Geo had the horsepower, and the games were super expensive. They were like bigger than VHS tapes and had 2 rows of contacts, right? 2 pins, two rows of PCB board with the contacts, and they were like $100 to $300 for some of them games back then. Fantastic piece. I have a lot of fun playing this mini console, and I got on a mini console kick there for a while since I've last talked to you, and I've picked up quite a few of them. But the fun thing for me, the enjoyment I get. Let's do something real quick. Windows 10, I hate you. I just want to get into my screensaver. All right, so in Windows 10, to get to your screensaver settings, you got to go into your personalization. Shocker there, right? But then you got to go to the lock screen tab. What sense does that make? That's where your screensaver settings are. The most enjoyable part for me of buying these mini consoles is finding them in the wild. Like, I refuse to go on eBay and Pi. I refuse to buy Pi on eBay. You can make your own. You can go to the bakery. I absolutely refuse to overpay for a mini console. Like when the Nintendo NES had a shortage of supply, not perpetrated by Nintendo, but people were gouging it on eBay and sites like it. Charging people $200 to $300 for something that was at the MSRP was, what was the NES Classic? $50, $60. When you find it in the wild, when there was a time when they were really hard to find, actually I haven't seen one in a while, and when you see them in like Best Buy or Meijer or Walmart, wherever you're at, it's just like a rush of adrenaline. It's like, holy crap, there's one right there. It's in the, like, people were on social media saying like, hey, there's 3 NES classic NESs at Walmart here in this town, blah 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 blah. So that was the fun for me, is buying them in the wild and finding them, right? And sometimes you get really lucky and they're on sale. Some of them I refuse to actually buy unless they're on sale. But the biggest example of refusing to pay full price for something is Sony's PlayStation Classic that they released, which this is an absolute atrocity. Sony so dropped the ball on this. Now, like, they did the packaging great. I haven't even opened this and probably never will. There's no reason for me to. But they did the package great. It looks just like the original box, the original controller. It's before the analog sticks. It looks the part. It looks fantastic. There's only 20 games on this thing. There's only 20 damn games. There's some good ones. Final Fantasy VII, Destruction Derby, Crash Bandicoot 2. Why it wasn't the first one, I don't know. I believe Resident Evil Director's Cut. They should have put Resident Evil 2 on here, and I think that was a big miss for them. Because at the time when this came out, I believe is when the Capcom's reboot of Resident Evil 2 was being released. This actually came out before that, so if they should have put the original Resident Evil 2 on here. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six, Tekken 3, that's cool. Siphon Filter's cool. Rayman, awesome. Ridge Racer, you got your puzzle game. Abe's Odyssey, Oddworld, that's cool. That's on there. Metal Gear Solid. I mean, there's some really cool, and Jumping Flash. That's like kind of expensive, I think now. If you want an actual physical, like, original copy of that. Cool Borders 2. That was kind of weird. Battle Arena Toshinden. So there's some cool games on here, but there's only 20, and this thing can hold like probably the entire library. MSRP on this was $100. $100. Atrocity. I ran across this in like probably 6 months, 7 months after it came out. People hated it. It got a bad rap. Prices started dropping, right? I found it on sale at my local Meijer for $19.99, and I could not pass it up. I was like, I have to own this. If anything, to just, I mean, just to have it. And that's that's probably a terrible characteristic to have, but. So, moving on, hobby grade RC hobby. Not like the crap you get at, your local grocery store that your kids play with. That stuff's cool for kids, awesome. I even play with that stuff. I grew up with an older brother who was super into that stuff. I remember him like building an original. I don't even think they re-released it ever. A Kyosho Big Brute. Of course, Tamiya, the Blackfoot. Tamiya kits. The fact that they're still around, they released most of their classic line from like the 80s and 90s, is fantastic. And it's almost making a resurgence. But I finally bit the bullet and was like, I want in, right? And I blame YouTube. I blame the I blame the Scale Builders Guild. Blame that guy. Those guys, RC Sparks is pretty cool, but he's like way out of everybody's league now. He's like the Hickok of RC, right? But I finally bit the bullet and I bought a kit. And I wanted a kit to start off with, and I wanted it to be Tamiya. I always called it Tamiya, right, when I was a kid, up until like a few months ago when I found out it is called Tamiya. Because other people calling it Tamiya, and I was like, that sounds weird and dumb. But then I found an old Tamiya commercial.
Tamiya Plastic Model Company, first in quality around the world. The newest and most sophisticated of our four-wheeled vehicles is this 1/10 scale Toyota Hilux pickup truck. These 14 Hilux models are in low gear, four-wheel drive, and will pull the full-sized 1.3-ton Hilux to demonstrate the power and ruggedness of this, our top-of-the-line model.
And they had pronounced it Tamiya. So I'm like, all right, cool, I'll call it Tamiya. But Tamiya, whatever. I wanted the kit, and I wanted it to be a Tamiya kit, because they're like the classic, they're the OG, right? So all the parts in a kit, you got to put it together, right? All the parts and bits come in the kit. You got to put it all together. You got to build the transmission, the differentials, the drivetrain, which that's pretty much part of it. Suspension, control arms, steering linkage, your shocks, and the upgrades. Like, it's just so addictive for some reason. I like building stuff too. 30th anniversary edition Tamiya kit. The Ford Mustang GT4. I love the paint scheme. Of course, you get to choose the paint scheme. But I'm going to make it, since it's my first Tamiya kit, I'm going to paint it up the way it's supposed to be, right? So I've got the paint codes I need. It tells you in the manual, but I contacted Tamiya directly and was like, what paint codes do I need? And this was before I knew it was in the manual. Anyway, so I'm going to do it up the way it looks in this picture. You get the decal sheets. That's going to be fun. Not really. I hate decals. I built model cars when I was a kid, and that was probably my least favorite part. I was just never good at decals, but I'm a lot older now. I should be better. But I bought a Fast Eddy bearing kit for it, so it's got all sealed bearings in it. I believe they're sealed because the kit comes with nylon bushings, and screw that. So it's a tub chassis, all-wheel drive. The main complaint I have, not only the nylon bushings, which I put in as I was building, because it would be a pain in the ass to take it completely down to replace the nylon bushings. So I just waited for the bearing kit to get here from California, which took forever. The friction, these are just friction shocks. Friction shocks. And there's a lot of bounce to them. They're not oil filled, they're not oil dampered. It's not terrible, but it's not great either. An oil filled damper would just once it hits the ground, it would just suck to it. But this is only like a 19, 20 mile an hour RC. It's not like a huge deal. But if I want to put a brushless LiPo system in this, it's going to need oil filled shocks, or I'm just going to be spinning out constantly. Super cool kit. First one ever put together. I'm super excited about it. Stayed up till like 2 in the morning putting it together because I couldn't stop. I eventually did. I still have to put the ESC in there, the speed controller, and I picked up a Futaba something or another steering servo for the steering. I didn't want to go all super fancy on this kit. I just picked up like an entry level Futaba. I wasn't gonna put like a Tekin or I wasn't gonna spend $100 on a servo for a kit that cost $179, right? But it's cool. I love the body. I love Mustangs, so it kind of just made sense for me. It was all-wheel drive. I thought that was cool. It's decently fast. I mean, it's not fast, but it's not slow either. It's going to be amazing. Can't wait. What I really want is an Axial SCX-10-2 crawler, or a bomber, or a Traxxas, anything. Because honestly, like Axial is Axial and Traxxas. There's a RC 4-wheel drive. Vanquish I can't afford. Yeah, I mean, for some reason I've really enjoyed just sitting here and pushing on it. It's pretty cool. So I still got to get a transmitter and a receiver, which I can get as a combo. I got one picked out, 3-channel Futaba. And I need a battery, which I am going to go with nickel metal hydride at first, because I don't know if I want to be charging LiPos in my apartment. Not that it's a big deal, but I just want to start off simple and start off with something that's classic. Start off with something that like my brother would have been running 20 years ago, right? Super cool bearings, torque tune motor. See? Look. Torque tune motor. Hell yeah. If you're still watching, thank you. Like, you were completely awesome. You're one of my favorite people in the entire world. Picked up a new computer case. I switched when I first built this build, and this isn't even the original build now. It's been upgraded. The only thing original left in this computer is the motherboard and CPU and cooler. The rest of it is completely new. But I started off with the Corsair C70, which is a super cool case, right? It looks like an ammo box. It's complete all metal, no plastic on it anywhere. But it was a little outdated, right? It had a plexiglass window that was kind of small. It had 2 fan mounts in the plexiglass, so there was a grill there, and it looked terrible. Who's putting fans on their side panel? Dumb. If you put them there, I'm sorry. I apologize. But this is a brand new case from Lian. Always respected what they do. What I really liked about this is it's a modern chassis, right? It's not antidote. It's not antiquated anymore, right? I'm up to date now, so I've got a PSU shroud that runs the complete bottom of the chassis. Tempered glass on both sides, and it's got great cable management for the most part. It's easy to cover. You can show off your SSDs in the back. And it's just going to the glass panel was something that I really wanted to have, because I like to look at what I have in there. I've put a lot of work, not only putting in work at work to be able to do this work, I want to look at it, and it's cool. And I might do a review of this case. I might talk about the slim profile fan I had to buy for that cooler and upgrade that fan because of the upgraded T-Force. What is that RAM called? You don't remember, but it's a really high profile on the RAM coolers. So you get this, there's cool LEDs on it, but they interfered with that fan. So I originally, instead of upgrading the fan, I just kind of flipped it over into a pull instead of a push, which is terrible for a CPU cooler. Unless you're doing a push-pull, that's fine, but just a pull, it's kind of terrible. And the one big complaint I have about this case is it comes with 3 fans, which is badass. But as you can see, there's not a lot of room up here to move air through, right? You've got these slits on the side. It comes as 1 fan for intake and 2 for exhaust, which is terrible. You're going to have negative pressure with that for 1, and 2, that 1 fan can't pull enough air through the small amount of opening it has, okay? So I moved all the fans up front and bought 2 Noctua Reduxes and put them as exhaust. I might even take one of them out because I don't think I need 2 exhaust. I think I might even get a little bit of negative pressure. But these fans are badass. Like, they're super quiet, they move a lot of air, and they look really, really cool. I just wish they were black with a gray fan instead of like, because Noctua cannot get colors right. They're still running like the beige and brown. It's just so terrible. I mean, these are the Reduxes, so they're gray, so they look better. But you have to buy the insulating corners separately. That's kind of ticked me off because Noctua's, they're Austrian made, they're top of the line, but it's like, come on, for the price I should be getting those included. Anyway, I promise you gun reviews coming this year. Gun reviews, maybe even some gadget reviews. Gadgets. Why did I call that a gadget? I don't know. Later.